What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We've got a live CHGO Bulls pod for y'all right around the corner. Tons to get to. First, curious injury report from the Bulls ahead of their game against the top-seeded Cavs tomorrow. Should Billy Donovan be getting some consideration for Coach of the Year? Plus, a conversation between our very own Big Dave and the one and only Tim Legler, and a fun hypothetical Luka to the Bulls trade. Next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into CHGO Bulls. Coming to you live from our studios here in the West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave. Bam! BAWL Sports. Will, the GOAT Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed as always. Will_Gottlieb, and the queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. What up, Katie?
Hi.
Happy Monday, everybody. We have reached the final week of the NBA regular season. Light the fireworks, Katie.
Let's go. Boom, boom.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, CHGO Bulls, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use that promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary.
I have a quick question.
With Bet365. Question,
Katie,
Dave.
what is in your bottle?
First of all, none of your business. Second
Looks
of
like
all,
some sort of hydration
it's just,
beverage.
Yeah, it's just water with like electrolyte flavoring.
Oh, okay.
Electrolytes.
I
was like, it looks too much to be wine.
Dehydrate. Oh my God, can you imagine if at 5 p.m. I was drinking wine out of a water bottle?
Room temperature rosé.
Yeah.
Yes, literally room temperature
bottle?
wine.
Hey, man,
Then
you
we
get
would
by
be-
how you get by.
We would
all
be
right?
pausing the show and being like, Katie, are you okay?
No.
I would be going home at that point.
As I sip my beer.
Right. As I said, what's in my cup?
They're a sponsor. Okay, so we want to have a chat about Billy Donovan getting some due credit, I think, this season compared to what the Bulls' expectations were. Before we get to that, however, we did want to touch on an interesting injury report that came out this afternoon ahead of the Bulls game against the Cavs tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. The Bulls, currently in 9th, still have a shot at 8th, even have a shot at 7th.
Yeah.
So 2 chances to get to the actual big boy playoffs instead of 1.
Big boy.
Or a chance for a win and in scenario if they make it up to that 7-8 matchup.
Yes, sir.
Only needing 1 win to get to the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Coby White is out tomorrow night on the injury report as rest. We also see Josh Giddey on the injury report as questionable, dealing with that same outside of the wrist sprain he's been dealing with. Vooch is listed as questionable with the calf soreness that kept him out for a while after the trade deadline. Calf soreness. Also, Kevin Huerter has already been ruled out with a neck strain. Lonzo has already been ruled out. Trey Jones has already been ruled out. Curious, considering the Bulls, yes, it's a tough Cavs matchup and tough to see yourself getting a win, but theoretically, based on everything we've seen and everything that AK has told us, they want to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wins would help them maximize their chances of doing so if they are able to move up in the play-in standing. So why rest people now is a question some Bulls fans are asking.
I honestly think it's a good question to ask. And also Cleveland, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell is going to be out or not.
Mitchell has already been ruled out as well.
Okay, so maybe that plays into it a little bit, having Coby out for that. But I would think you would rest him later in the week against those much weaker teams. And because I think you can still beat those opponents kind of without him. I'm sure this is a strategic move by Billy. This is we're not going to show you all of our cards right here because we might be playing you in the playoffs. I think that's thinking way too far ahead. I think the focus should be on what's in front of you and what you're dealing with right now, and getting one up on a Cleveland Cavaliers team that you might have to play, I think is very important. I'm not saying whether his way is wrong or right. I'm just looking at it how I would want it to be done. And I would definitely have Coby out there playing and trying to get that momentum going for my team to see them that they can beat the number 1 seed, whether Donovan Mitchell is out there or not. Beating the number 1 seed still matters this close to the postseason. So from my perspective, I would do it that way. I get that maybe Billy's perspective, maybe the GOAT can shed a little more light on the perspective of it, but I would play him. I definitely would put him in this game and play him because these 2 games for me will be very telling for what the Bulls can be in this postseason.
I agree that it's strategic. I think this is absolutely we don't want to show you our cards.
Yeah.
We're playing a different brand of basketball than the last time you saw us. Mm-hmm. And we don't want you to get any extra looks at this because, it's likely that we play you in the first round if we can make it there. So I think that's part of it. I also think part of it is the Bulls have 4 games left. Okay. They have Cleveland, Miami, Philadelphia, and Washington. Okay. Those last 2, very winnable. It would be a shock if they lost either. The Miami game is key. If they win that game, you get the 9th seed basically, or better. So they are probably gearing up to say, okay, we're probably not going to beat the Cavs anyway. We do need to guarantee that but put our best foot forward against Miami to try to put ourselves in position to have a home court game or better in the first round of the play-in. And we're probably going to lose to Cleveland anyway. We don't want to show them our full, repertoire of pitches here.
Showcasing.
It's like pitching. You don't want to show the batters all 4 or 5 year pitches on your first go through. And so I think that's part of it. But I also think they feel like they probably don't have a great chance of beating Cleveland anyway. So why not rest guys and have everybody ready to go for, Wednesday night against Miami? Because that's really a play-in game.
Guys, the answer is staring us in the face. I agree with both of you. It is strategic. It is not strategic from Billy. It is not strategic from AK.
Okay.
The Bulls, currently in 9th, regardless of taking an L to the Cavs tomorrow night. Second night of a back-to-back, you're back home playing against the Heat. If you win that game, already having the tiebreaker against Miami, you essentially lock up the 9th seed. The Bulls could move up to 8th. Mm-hmm. Slim outside shot that they leapfrog Atlanta and Orlando and end up in 7th. Sure. If they don't, but only move up from 9th to 8th, Jerry risks winning a 7-8 game and going straight to the playoffs without that home play-in tournament game. He's not doing that. He's not doing that. Let's stay right where we are in 9th so that we will guarantee ourselves a home play-in tournament game. Because we know how good the Bulls have been on the road and how they've been at home.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to risk winning that 7-8 game as the road team and skipping out on the home play-in tournament game. The answer is staring us in the face. The obvious answer is always the right one.
If you are the 8th seed instead of the 9th seed, though, yes, you have a road game in the first one. If you lose, you get a home game. But more importantly, it puts you in a far better chance of making the playoffs because you guarantee yourselves 2 chances, which gives you...
This carrot is now, Will.
2
This carrot is now.
Postseason games.
This carrot is now, and it's made of money. Well, we might go to the playoffs. No. This boat's a boat. This home play-in tournament game is a home play-in tournament game.
Yeah, I just... Looking at it from a basketball perspective, I just don't like the idea of I've been trying to think of a better word than arrogant. Because it's not arrogant, but it is like, we'll play you guys. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And that's how I kind of look. And I'm like, we're not good enough to be thinking like that. I think we should be playing like whoever's in front of you and putting your best foot forward and going out there and trying to beat them. Now, like I said, in those last 2 games, you want to rest somebody. Cool. I get that. Like those teams are done. Those games, like I get it. Like go ahead and rest your guys in that one. But against the number 1 seed, I want my best out there, man. Like I want to get a feel for them. I want to know what they are. Like I'm not going to, you don't even have to reveal all your strategies out there. They know Coby White is good. They know Coby White is dropping 30 plus. Like they understand that. They have tape. They can watch film on Coby White. All that can happen. That would be like saying, I don't know, Miami. You know what I mean? Like we should go ahead and we're going to rest Coby on that one because we're going to be playing you guys anyway. I just don't like that ideology so close to a postseason. You know, when you're a team that's a play-in team. If you're the number 1 seed, like I get if Cleveland just said we want to shut it down. But they have to play because they're trying to wrap up, you know, their number 1 seed in the East. But if they did and they just shut it down, I would completely understand it because, you know, it doesn't matter to them. But this team, it matters to. This stuff matters, man, to them, to those players. They want to be in the best possible position to go to the postseason and try to make a deep run in the playoffs. Sitting Coby White, who has been your best player, against the number 1 team in the East, for me, is just something I wouldn't be doing right now. That's all.
Well, the Bulls are in this position because of this late season surge. I mean, they could have still ended up as the 10th seed with 10 fewer wins because all of those teams beneath them in the East have done a great job of tanking down the stretch. But a lot of people around Bulls Nation have been talking about in this stretch, you know, they go 9-6 in the month of March. They've stacked a couple more wins here in early April. They're moving up the standings. Billy Donovan and how much credit he deserves for that, alongside obviously Coby, Josh, and the players deserving the bulk of the credit for the way that they've been playing. Posing the question, does he deserve to be in the Coach of the Year conversation, can be a bit like silly of a question to pose because Coach of the Year tends to go to coaches who are coaching top teams across the league. Or if not that, coaching a team that has made a huge jump from where they were a season ago. And if you look at the leading odds to win names for Coach of the Year this year, and I was looking on Bet365 earlier today.
Shout out.
Obviously, these are the names you would expect to see. Kenny Atkinson of these Cleveland Cavaliers is the favorite at -320. JB Bickerstaff doing an incredible job, clinching a playoff berth for the Pistons after, what did they have last year? 14 wins?
Something like that.
Is the second most favorite at +250. And then outside shot, third place currently is Daigneault, who have the top-seeded OKC Thunder out there, just blowing away all of the other very good teams in the West as far as win-loss record.
Yeah.
I don't know if Billy's going to get a single vote for this award. But speaking of Vegas odds, when you think back to what the Bulls were projected to be this season, 27.5 wins is where most Vegas odds makers had this team. I predicted them at 29. Dave, you predicted them, I believe, at 29. Goat, you predicted them at 27. They are currently at 36 wins, on their way to maybe 39, 40 if they beat the Donovan Mitchell-less Cavs tomorrow night. We'll see.
Okay.
You're talking about a team exceeding its Vegas expectations, and Vegas is almost always right, by 10 wins. At least 10 wins, assuming they knock off Philly and Washington in those last 2 games, maybe exceeding it by more than 10 wins. You got to be talking about that coach getting some due praise.
Praise, yes, of course. Billy deserves the praise. You know how I do it, Will. Like, when you deserve the praise, I'm gonna overload you with it. When you do something wrong, I'm going to criticize you for it. He deserves all the praise, and I have definitely been trying my best to give it to him because watching him have to change his team mid-season, you know, like he had a style he wanted to play at the beginning of the year. We knew they wanted to run. They wanted to get up and down, you know what I'm saying? They wanted to be fun. That's why I said fun bad to start the season, because them guys are going to be running. That's what they wanted to do. But then you traded Zach LaVine. You brought in Kevin Huerter. You brought in Zach Collins. Now Josh Giddey is at the head of the snake, who's as far as the point guard position and getting things set up. Nikola Vucevic is still here, but we didn't know if he wanted to be here, and then he was injured a lot. Lonzo Ball being injured as well. Ayo Dosunmu going ahead and being out for the year. And it has not deterred anything as far as, you know, how they attack and how that plan offensively came into shape. And Billy doing that, changing his team from what we saw last year, which was DeMar DeRozan, a little more slow, a little more plotting, to just absolutely being a running team, and to do it within a year and still have success doing that when everybody thought you would not have this type of success, especially after you trade Zach LaVine too. No, he deserves all the praise for what he has done for this Chicago Bulls team, man. Like, it has really been awesome to sit there and watch him do that. Now, of course, there are some things I still don't agree with that I've seen him do. But overall, you can't argue with the wins. Like, it's just that simple. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with Modest and his growth. I don't like the way he's done it, but you can't argue with it now. You can't argue with what Giddey's doing. You can't argue with Coby and what he's been doing. So those guys have been really impressive, man. And Billy Donovan has a lot to do with that. And those guys will be the first to tell you he has a lot to do with it.
We got to take our first break real quick. When we come back on the other side, we'll pick up this conversation, take a look at what Billy and the Bulls have done last season compared to this season, where they stack up across the rest of the league. That's next. Hit the like button while we share some ads.
Hey, Katie.
CHGO Bulls podcast today brought to you by Bet365. We got a big one coming up later tonight. The championship.
Oh!
Billy Donovan, freshly minted as a 25 Hall of Fame inductee member.
New Jersey.
His Gators going for that chip tonight.
Got a brand New Jersey, not the place New Jersey.
Correct. Yeah. Florida versus Houston. Get some bets in on that. And then make sure you got your bets ready to go for Bulls Cavs tomorrow night. Also, speaking of all those fun hoops bets, with that Bet365 basketball early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points. Hello, game against the Zards coming up. Hello, Sixers. With an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use promo code CHGO365 when you sign up, because when you do that, you will get $150 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet, win or lose. Doesn't matter. Win or lose, as soon as that $5 bet is finalized in your settled bets category, you're going to see an extra $150 of bonus bets. Boom, right there in your account.
Slap.
I took that and ran with it during March Madness, and I turned that free money into more money. It's a great feeling. Player props, futures, in-game betting, spreads, totals. Bet365 has it all. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Don't forget that promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Must be 21 and older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
Man, could you do me a favor?
Sure can. I love doing you favors.
I appreciate that. Could you go ahead and chill?
Oh, sure.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you see it. That's the way to do it. Sam Adams American Light. Easy drinking easy, y'all. 21 and over. Remember that. Light beer just got so much better. Introducing Sam Adams American Light. It is clean, it is crisp, and it is super easy to drink. No gimmicks, no fluff, no woozies, and for the sake of Will Gottlieb, absolutely no wazzies. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer, ladies and gentlemen. It is brewed with 100% American sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It's just simply light beer that is made right, because light beer shouldn't feel like a compromise. It should be an American classic that is so smooth that Will Gottlieb would let it in its car. It will make you want to crack open another one.
I'm an it.
Yep. And another one. And then another one. And then because he's an it, he'll crack on one more after that. Bam! Because it's always Sam season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light, available right now at select Chicago retailers. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Rolling along. Paul in the comments, Billy Donovan's done better than I expected since the All-Star, but not even close to Coach of the Year. Jamie saying he isn't getting that. And like, I agree. We're framing this conversation like Billy's not in the legitimate running for this award. It's just talking about how much he and the Bulls have exceeded expectations. Somebody else just mentioned how they played after the All-Star break, which you can kind of coincide with. I think they traded Zach LaVine 2 or 3 games before the All-Star break hit, early February. So, and then Zach also missed a couple of games leading up to that as he was resting a minor injury. But consider coming into the season, they lose their best offensive player, DeMar DeRozan. They lose their best defensive player, Alex Caruso. Halfway through the season, essentially, they lose Zach LaVine via trade, their second best offensive player and current best offensive player for the first half of the season. And nobody's talking about a Coach of the Year award going to a guy who was the coach of that same team last season and is using the last legs of the regular season schedule to try to match their win total from last season. Mathematically, and when you're talking about people who get awards, that doesn't make sense. But it's the fact that they were not projected to be a team with a win total in the high 30s or even in the mid 30s. Most of us people looking around said, this is maybe a 30-win team. Maybe. And when you think about what he has done to change the team stylistically. Katie, do you have those numbers we can take a look at real quick? Because when you compare last season and this season, the Bulls' offensive rating, defensive rating, overall net rating, they all look very similar. Last season on the left, this season on the right. 19th versus 20th offensive rating, 21st and 21st defensive rating, 20th and 20th net rating across 30 NBA teams. But then those bottom two categories, offensive pace, possessions per 48, and three-point attempt rate, the two huge changes that the Bulls, with Billy at the helm, have made, and made, you could say, borderline successfully this season because of the number of games where they're putting up 115, 120, 130 points, leaning on their offense to win the games that they're winning.
Yeah.
They went from 28th to 2nd in offensive pace. They went from 29th to 3rd in three-point attempt rate. Those are, shout out Young Spathis, massive swings in offensive scheme and deploying it fairly successfully.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about a team that has different pieces last season to this season and playing an entirely different brand of ball, and other guys, young guys, waiting in the wings, role players stepping up and playing bigger roles, with changes that substantial to what they're doing, some amount of credit has to go to the coach who's installing all of that.
Absolutely. I've been very positive towards Billy all year.
Flex.
And that's because of not only the success that we've seen, especially after the All-Star break here, but even before. I mean, they started the year 18-20. That was better than anybody would have anticipated. I agree, not a record that's going to win you any awards, but it's better than people thought. But yeah, I mean, the pace, the three-point attempts, the foul drawing, changing it again halfway through the season, as you mentioned, Dave. A lot of reasons for optimism and positivity going towards the new Hall of Famer. And then also, I think the one that has not been talked about quite as much is the young player development. Coby has taken another step forward. Giddey has been great. And that is not something that we could have said earlier on in the year. And it's certainly not something we would have said after watching him in the playoffs last year. I do think you have to credit not only their development, but they're able to develop because of the stylistic changes that the Bulls have seen in their offense. So I think Billy deserves a lot of credit for that. I even think the front office deserves a lot of credit for that because they had that vision in tandem with Billy. They talked about it with Billy. They made the moves that got the players that allowed them to play that style. Obviously doesn't absolve them from previous sins in terms of, committing to a bunch of guys that prevented them from playing this way, which is, I think, how they wanted to be playing all along. But to their credit, they have put together a roster that makes sense with how they want to play. I will say this, though, in terms of the expectation versus results, right? And we talked about 27 wins with Vegas. That was my prediction for the year. I don't think that was this Bulls team has no talent, they're not going to win games. It was the Bulls are finally going to find religion and do what they should have done all along, which is rebuild. And so I don't think this is like so much of a...
We found God. His name is Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, I don't think this is so much of like the Bulls have outperformed expectations. It's that they didn't do what they should have done, which is rebuild. And they decided against that. So to me, that's not an argument so much because that was more of a philosophical thing than an on-court thing. If you told me at the start of the year, the Bulls are going to try to win every game and make the play-in, I would have said they're going to win 37, 38 games because that's where they always finish when they try to win with their talent. So that's, to me, that's not, I guess that's a reason why I don't think there's ever real possibility for him to win Coach of the Year, but that's to me what takes them out of the running is it's more of a philosophical thing than look what Billy got them to overachieve by 11 wins.
Because that 27.5, sorry, Dave, win total projection over under from Vegas oddsmakers was set after the DeMar trade, after the Caruso trade, knowing that this team was pivoting in a different direction. So it's like
these guys are a reasonable basketball team who is trading their best players,
anticipating that the Bulls were going to steer further towards a rebuilding direction.
It's not something anybody saw coming or anything like that, but you give credit to it.
We should have seen it coming
because of the young guys.
We should have seen it coming.
But no, I didn't see it because once you trade your best, and I've said this before when I was wielding a bat sitting up here, Once you trade your best player, you've already told everybody that you're starting over. And that's why you don't look at it like it is now, like these guys finally growing and expanding and being better basketball players. Because usually once you trade your guy, you're done. You've made a decision, and that's it. And the Bulls said, nope, we're going to loop the loop. We're going to do it this way. But what you don't see coming was that growth. You know, you didn't see the growth of Coby White, even though I love him and I don't doubt him. But Coby White is taking a tremendous step, you know what I'm saying? Not just as a player, but just as a person in this league who they're all looking at. He's taking a tremendous step. Josh Giddey took a tremendous step because his first half of the season was not good at all. And now he looks absolutely amazing in the month of March. You didn't see that when coming out like that. You didn't think Vooch would still be here. You didn't think Zach Collins and Kevin Huerter were like, oh, man, we can depend on maybe Kevin Huerter to give us 20-something points. You know what I'm saying? Like, that'd be a thing. Hey, man, Zach Collins can double up on cats. They were playing above their heads for sure. So those things I didn't see happening, especially after you lost Ayo Dosunmu as well. Like, him going out for the season and losing Zach LaVine, like, oh, man, okay, well, this looks like I know what it is going to be. And they were like, nope, we're still going to get better because Trey Jones is going to ball out too. So, and Lonzo's not here. It don't matter. Trey Jones is going to ball out. Is Javon Carter going to play? No. But Trey Jones is going to ball out. And then THT, you know what I'm saying? Will's guy out here doing his thing and what he's always done. So I give them that credit for that because those parts I completely put blinders on once you trade your best player and you do those moves. Watching those guys develop and do what they've been doing this entire month of March and winning the games the way they've been winning, I mean, it's just been incredible and outstanding. So I give Billy that kind of credit too. And I don't think what you're saying is wrong. I'm just looking at that other side of it. Like, I think it's not crazy to think we didn't see this coming.
And that's where I agree. You do have to give them credit. And again, I'm not trying to say that they don't deserve any, but you put up the numbers last year to this year in terms of offensive, defensive net rating. Post All-Star, they're a different team. Mm-hmm. 117 offensive rating is 11th in the league. 112.9 defensive rating is 14th. You're going to tell me a team that is built around Giddey, Coby, Vooch, Kevin Huerter, and Mattis, who's a rookie, and rookies are rarely good at defense, is going to be a top 15 defensive rating without Lonzo, without Ayo? That's really impressive.
Yeah.
4.2 net rating. That's a top 10 net rating in the league. And they maintain their pace, which is number one. And they've actually decreased the three-point shooting because they've been so aggressive and persistent getting to the rim into the foul line. So they have put real improvement, production, and numbers to support it up in the second half of the year. Now you factor second half of the year into that.
Didn't catch that. Could you repeat that?
Siri didn't catch that.
Yeah, Siri didn't catch that.
But again, I think at the end of the day, like, you end up where you end up. Yeah, and it has less to do with style of play and more to do with the outcomes.
Speaking of you end up where you end up, and
in terms of what your final
revisionist history, I get it. Thomas Banks in the comments pointed out that when the Bulls sat LaVine before trading him, they were 20-27, 7 games under. Now at 36-42, that means since Zach LaVine's last game, they've gone 16-15.
Yeah.
In addition to those improvements on offensive and defensive ratings you were talking about.
They got destroyed in the 5 games after.
Correct. Then there was a mollywhopping for a while there when the new guys showed up but weren't
remember those
games
yet, and then back-to-back against
playing,
Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Lost by 40.
I do remember
those
them.
Were tough.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But you wouldn't know because the pieces would be different likely. Had they also this past offseason found a trade for Zach? If you take out Zach LaVine, are they 20-27 before he gets traded? With Coby and Josh being the 2 key pieces on this team?
This is my
question. Or are they 15-32?
I have a question, and you just kind of hit on it. If AK and Eversley and whoever the hell else had traded Zach LaVine before the season and we were still seeing, like, if we saw this level of winning, this level of development throughout a whole season, not just the second half, after he had traded Zach, would this Billy Donovan Coach of the Year conversation be taken more seriously? Is it because it's only half a season that he's not even in the running? Like, if this had happened all season, obviously we wouldn't be happy because we want them to tank.
Sure.
But
well,
would he be taken more seriously?
I'll say this. If they're winning the way that they have been since All-Star break, then absolutely. Because here's a piece of irony for you guys.
Oh.
Guess what the Bulls record is after All-Star break this year?
Tim.
Oh my God, is it 14-9?
It is 14-9.
Hey!
So that is pretty
In case
good.
that doesn't ring a bell, that's the number. That's the record that AK was so proud of after their in-season edition of Chicago, and Pat Bev
Shout out Pat Bev.
came in, made a ruckus, went to the play-in. That was play-in year one, yeah?
That was play-in year one.
Yeah.
And that's a 60.
Stand on that 14-9, AK. You go.
That's winning 60% of your games, which is 50 wins over the course of a year. So, yeah, if they're going to win 50 games a year, Coby and Giddey are going to play like this.
Yeah.
Billy Donovan is going to be in the running.
No, you would definitely coach of the year or in the running for coach of the year.
For sure.
Without a doubt.
Here's all we need to know, guys. Shout out to our guy Briscoe in the comments.
Let's go.
He, if not the president, at least vice president of the Billy Donovan Haters.
Oh, he's
Club.
president. He's president.
Billy Haters, United.
Yeah.
He just said in the comments, Billy deserves consideration.
Oh,
though he won't win it. No one is thinking he's going to win it. I don't even think he'll finish top 5.
Yeah.
But if Briscoe, president of the Billy Haters Club, says he deserves consideration, and even all of the hatiest of Billy haters have got to acknowledge what he has accomplished this season.
Got to.
For a team that will come up shy of being 500.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take our second ad break. When we come back, we are going to let y'all enjoy a great conversation between Big Dave and the one and only Tim Legler from a couple days ago. Hit the like button while we share some ads.
Katie was there too.
Go first.
Empire Today! Oh, you love it so much. You got to get the floors right. And guess what? You can do it with Empire Today because all they do is floors, floors, floors. No matter what, just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. You see what just happened? And Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You know Katie has to go sometimes on a Saturday, and she's like, oh, let me go check out the flooring because I'm here at the big box store. Let me see flooring. Well, they're a big box store, so obviously they have experts here. Let me just stand around and wait. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by because nobody over there. But then here he comes in all his 16-year-old glory. Biff slides through. Hey there, Bill. Get away from her. She don't need you, child. Go on back to plumbing. You don't know what you're talking about. We need floor experts. And she can do that at home, and that's what Empire Today provides. Why is Empire Today your best bet for new floors? Because Empire Today lives, breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house. Get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered so there will be absolutely no surprises. Clear, upfront, and inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. It's quite amazing, y'all. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using that promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard it right. A $350 discount with CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today /CHGO for full details. 588-2300. Go!
Empire Today.
With the hand. What you know about it, y'all? What you know about it?
You gotta build it.
That's it. To the top.
I want to see opera singer goat at some point.
Oh,
Like,
There's no opera singer
like
goat.
he said he
alternative universe.
Does not exist.
We're sitting like front row center orchestra at the Lyric downtown Chicago. The curtains draw open, and goat is just there.
Yeah,
with the first musical number.
It's like Phantom of the Opera and Hamlet. He's got the thing on his face and he's holding the skull.
Sing for me,
Horatio. Empire Today.
I die, Horatio. Oh, today's show is brought to you by Lucy. Have you been thinking recently about leveling up your nicotine routine? If so, I've got your answer. Try the variety of wonderful products from Lucy. Lucy is a nicotine company that offers a great variety They have their pouches. They have nicotine gum. They also have what they call Lucy Breakers. That's right, Goat. I am a user ever since they came on board. I am a former smoker. Sometimes I still want a little bit of nicotine to get through my stressful life of Bulls fandom. So this is apple ice, my favorite flavor. They got all kinds of great flavors. The mint varieties, they got an espresso. They got fruity flavors if that's the route you want to go for the gums, the pouches, and the breakers. They also have a range of strength of amount of nicotine, milligrams of nicotine per pouch, per piece of gum in all those different flavors. So find your favorite flavor, find the right amount of nicotine for you. And here is the best part.
Hit me.
Once you figure out exactly what you like from Lucy, you can just sign up and have it delivered straight to your door once a month. It's that easy.
Simple.
No more trips to the gas station or the bodega or wherever. Oh, I'm out of whatever my nicotine is. I got to go get more. No. Just shows up at your door. It's so easy. It's wonderful. I love it. So if you are thinking about leveling up your nicotine routine, give the products at Lucy a try. Promise you won't regret it. Go to lucy.co/CHGO. Use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Ooh. Lucy also has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Ooh. But you won't. Take my word for it.
You will.
Again, that's lucy.co, promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age. Every order is age verified. Warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. All right, y'all. Next thing on the agenda, Big Dave.
Yeah.
You talked to our friend Tim Legler.
I did.
Let's take a listen to that combo.
Real quick disclaimer. When we recorded it at that time, the Bulls were 12-9 and a half game behind the Miami Heat. 12-9 after the All-Star break. That was their record.
Okay. I was like, they played more games than that.
No.
But yeah, you guys talk about Kobe's ascension.
Correct.
You talk
Kobe's
about modest potential.
Correct. And it was a fun question at the end dealing with Josh Giddey's half-court buzzer beater. So
there you go.
Check it on out.
Cue it up, Katie.
Bulls are back. Let's get into it. I mean, the Bulls, they've been 12-9 since the All-Star break. They went 4-2 on that West Coast trip, half game behind the Heat right now for the 9th seed. And they hold that tiebreaker with the Heat, which is also, pretty huge. So just seeing all this, though, Tim, I wonder, is there anything that you think that is or isn't real about this run that the Bulls have been on?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that look, they're playing. They've got guys that a lot of guys have sort of broken through to another level during this recent stretch. And I think that's, something that you're looking at going forward. I think you know more about these guys than you did the first half of the season. So yeah, I do think there's some sustainable things in there. The thing that's jumping out to me is just an incredible amount of confidence that they're playing with. And that sort of seemed like it just kind of came on over the last month or so, or maybe a little bit more than that. That's what's kind of jumped out to me. Like teams that were in the position they were in when they started playing much better, typically by that point in the season, you don't really see an uptick in that swagger and bounce and confidence and ball movement and shot making and guys just having a lot more fun. If that starts, in February, by that time, man, you kind of know what your team is, and it's hard to find that gear this late in the year, but they have. And they to me, with some of the wins that they've had and some of the numbers they've put up against some of these teams, you can't ignore it. This is not going to be an easy team if you end up getting into a series with them as confident as they are right now. Now, look, they're not gonna go take on the Boston Celtics of the world or probably even Cleveland, but I just think now you would look at them and say, man, okay, that's going to be more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And I actually think they do have a great chance of escaping the play-in and getting into a best of 7.
Yeah, I honestly agree with you. I think they have a really good chance of doing that. Let me ask you this. What do you think about teams like the Bulls that are making these kind of runs during this time of the year? Because on one hand, there's definitely something to be said with how the Bulls kind of came together and started running these teams out the damn gym. But on the other hand, maybe some of these teams that they were playing, weren't looking to necessarily win these games and just try to improve their, kind of lottery odds. So how much stock do you put in these teams that make these runs right now?
Well, look, I think you have a mixed bag in there when you look at their schedule and their wins, right? I think there are some teams like you just described, certainly. But also, look, you got some other teams, and I'm really looking going to the stretch really that started in early March. So they're 24-38 after they lost to Cleveland. They lost badly to Cleveland. They're 24-38. And you can just break down the wins after that. I mean, Orlando, that's a good win because Orlando is scrapping and fighting, and they're a team that's going to be in a 7-game series, most likely. Like, they're a team that had a great year a year ago whose season was derailed by injuries. They're not trying to tank or rebuild or look ahead. So that's a quality win. Miami's in the same boat. They're trying to win now. They're trying to recover from the fallout of the Jimmy Butler stuff and get this team going in the right direction. That's a good win. Indiana's a good win, who they had there. And then you get a Brooklyn in there. You get a Utah in there. So I hear what you're saying there, a Toronto. But you also had a 4-game winning streak against Sacramento, the Lakers, Denver, and the Lakers again. So to me, most of these wins have been against teams that it mattered to. And I don't think they were taken lightly because none of those teams I just mentioned were in a position to do that because they are fighting for their lives for seeding some of those teams in the Western Conference. We look at Denver, the Lakers in particular. So I actually think this is a pretty quality ledger when you look at this stretch of games and the teams they've won. Now, look, you run into the Thunder, that was like cold water thrown on them. But, I saw the same thing happen with the Phoenix Suns and the Boston Celtics. Phoenix won 4 in a row. They get the Celtics. I'm calling the game. I'm like, man, the Suns are playing really well. Probably their best basketball of the season. They just had a couple really good wins. And Boston hits 10 threes in the first quarter. And the game's over by middle of the second quarter. And so, there's a level to this thing. And it's obvious, Boston, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, they have been on a different level than everybody else in the league the entire year. So don't use that game necessarily as the barometer. These other teams that are, you're in there scrapping with and coming out with some of those wins, I think they should feel really good about themselves.
Yeah, I agree. The Bulls are being led by the young guys, which is, for me, at the beginning of the season, I said I would be okay with this team making a postseason run because if they made it to the postseason, it meant the young guys were developing and doing their thing. And that's exactly what it kind of looks like. So let me point out the main three right now and get your opinion on them. One, Josh Giddey, who has just been amazing since the All-Star break, putting up almost a triple-double. The three-point shooting has definitely come around. I didn't think he was going to stay at 53%, but I think he's shooting 38 or close to it right now from three. But just your opinion on Josh Giddey and how sustainable you feel that what he's doing can continue.
Yeah, look, he's definitely surpassed what I thought his barrier was going to be as a three-point shooter. He's got a very slow and long release. It's not what you value him for. If he makes shots, it's great. Now you got a guy that on a given night, man, is doing an awful lot out there to help you win. But it's really his playmaking, his feel for the game, his instincts, his IQ. Like, that's really where his value comes in. And like, hey, man, hopefully you can make a couple of threes for us. That's what he really was. And then you look at, like, for instance, in March, he shot 53% from the three-point line for an entire month. Like, that to me is something you build on. And like you said, career high from the three-point line for him overall. It seems like now when I watch him play, I don't have that thought every time he rises up for a three, like okay, that's going to be a long rebound. That's the way I used to feel when he was in Oklahoma City and when he first got there. I don't feel that way as much anymore. Like, there's something about it now. I think he's more selective in what he takes, which is good. He doesn't have to be a guy that's going to take 10, 12 threes. He can pick his spots a little bit more because he does have a slower release. So as a result, I think he's been smarter about the ones he's taken, and something is going on with his confidence level. Clearly, it's not like some dramatic mechanical change in his shot. It looks the same, but it's going in at a much higher rate. And that tells you that between the ears, he's in a really good place right now. So it is important that he does that because now you have to close out on him a little bit differently. And that's when his off the ball stuff and his putting the ball on the ground and playmaking off the dribble really kicks into high gear. But if he's not a threat from out there, it's going to be more clogged up when he wants to play to his strengths. So making those shots is very, very important. He's been doing it at a really high clip. So maybe this could be what he does going forward now in his career. Maybe not 40, but if he's up there 36, 38, I think everybody would live with that.
You got that right. What do you feel is his biggest impact when he's on the floor? I have always said, outside of, his IQ, because Will Perdue and I used to talk about how Will Perdue calls him like a savant and loves his IQ. I think his superpower is rebounding, because once he's in there battling to get the offensive and defensive rebound to start the break, or when he gets the offensive one, get it out to a guy and get that 3-point shot. So what do you feel is his number one thing that he does out there that he just continues to do?
Yeah, the two things stand out for me. It's the defensive rebounding. You look at, for instance, in the last month that he's played, you're talking about a guy that averaged just under 10 rebounds a game for an entire month. And his numbers basically a triple-double, 20 points, almost 10 rebounds, 9.6, nine assists. So you're talking about a guy that's basically putting up triple-double type numbers every year, every game for a long period of time. The rebounding definitely stands out to me when I watch him play. He has a knack, and if he gets his hands on it, it's his. He's got great strength in his wrists, forearms. So if he gets a fingertip on the ball, it seems like Josh Giddey comes away with it. The other one I would say is just he has a great feel for where the ball is supposed to travel next when he gets it. And he makes incredibly quick decisions with it. There is no wasted motion, no wasted dribbles. He doesn't catch the ball, hold it, allow defenses to then recalibrate and set up again. Like, you see a lot of guys in the league that play that way. Josh Giddey immediately gets the ball from point A to point B with very little thought process there, because he's anticipating it before it even comes to him. That's where the savant part of it and the IQ comes into play. He's seeing the floor well before the ball actually gets to him. So he is so quick with his decision-making, and that is very difficult to guard against defensively because the ball is moving too fast for you to get there.
Yeah, that's a fact. The other guy that's definitely had an incredible month of March is Coby White. Coby White, back-to-back Eastern Conference Player of the Week, which led to him being the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. He's just been incredible with his scoring, and, for me, it's just how he's getting inside and scoring that way, and also getting to the free throw line now, I feel is a huge thing. What do you think about Coby White and this run? And the same question about Josh Giddey. What do you find sustainable about what he's doing?
Biggest thing that I've been impressed with Coby White is the efficiency with which he's playing. He's putting up monster numbers. I mean, he's a guy now that most nights when you watch him play, you're thinking 25, 30. That's the baseline. Like that's the floor for him tonight. And some nights he goes off for a little bit more than that. So the efficiency, like the field goal percentage, that's very important when you're a smaller guard, right? And you're taking a lot of perimeter shots. And you can't be out there shooting 42% if you're a high volume shot taker. It's going to kill your team. So the fact that his efficiency has come up, and a lot of that also plays into what you just said. I mean, you're talking about a guy now that most nights is going to get there 6, 8, 10 times to the foul line. That helps you be a more efficient scorer. So at the end of the night, you look up. There's a lot of nights when, I'm looking at some examples, 37 points on 22 shots. And you're going to get 1.7, 1.8 points per shot attempt. That's as efficient as it gets in this league for a scorer. And you just go up and down his game log. You see a lot of nights like that. He's in that 1.4, 1.5 points per shot attempt range. That's as good as you can possibly get for a guy that plays on the perimeter, takes a lot of deep shots. So he just has become a more consistent and efficient scorer. He's more reliable than he was before. He's not like as much of a wild card. This is now something you have hitched a trailer to. We need 30 out of Coby White. That's our identity offensively. I don't think that was the case before this year.
I agree with you, man. Yeah, I'm just really impressed with just his growth and how he continues to. I don't doubt Coby White and just how good he can really be, or how good he really is. The last one is a guy that we've definitely talked about a lot that I know that you're high on, just like I'm high on, and that's Buzelis. He's really had a great month of March. He's, become the starter now, and it finds that he's kind of finding his way. He hit that rookie wall and just kind of blasted through it. Big 31-point performance kind of against the Lakers. So just watching him, I'm just curious of your opinion, what you've seen him grow and be better at to provide, just how good he's been.
14 double-digit scoring games, I believe, in his last 20. So you look at a guy that early in the year, and I loved him coming out. I just loved his athleticism, his competitiveness. He's 20 years old. So, it's going to take time. And the opportunities there earlier in the year, the situation wasn't necessarily healthy for him. It became a lot healthier when they changed the identity of their team. He became more of a guy that was more of a focal point so he could get steady minutes. For a young player, it's really critical when you drive to the arena that you kind of know what to expect. I don't know that he felt that way the first half of the year. I think he feels that way now. And so now the natural talent and athleticism is coming out. And what I like about him is, like, he's versatile. He might not have to score big on a given night to help you win because that's the night he crashes the boards. That's a night, which he does most nights. He can guard. He's got great length and lateral quickness, so he does a good job at competing defensively. Maybe that's his contribution on that night. Or, hey, maybe there's another night he goes and gets you 17, 18, 20 points as well. I just think you're going to see a rapid progression for Buzelis starting at the beginning of next year. And there's no telling where he might be by the time he's 23, 24, because he's got an edge to him and he's got a lot of athletic ability and confidence that you're starting to see play out right now. So yeah, it's been nice to see him take a turn and get more consistent minutes.
When Modest, two-part question, when Modest gets to that off season, what do you think that he should be focused on working on to improve his game? And also, where do you have him among this crop of rookies that are right now here in the NBA?
He's got to absolutely spend time, and he needs to go to the Jason Tatum school of off-season skill development. Because if you look at Jason Tatum years 2, 3, 4, and where he is now, and it really comes down to one thing: his mastery of the basketball and being able to manipulate the ball and have a counter move to good defense. Because Jason Tatum sometimes will go when a guy gets cut off, and when that was year 2, 3 for him in the league, he was either going to shoot a pull-up jumper or he was going to pick it up and move the ball. Now Jason Tatum can go on a guy, get cut off because the guy slid his feet, did a great job defensively. He now has a counter move. Now I can step away. I can cross over. I can spin. I can go between my legs and then step back after the first move is stopped. Right now, Matas Buzelis is a one-move offensive player. He does a lot of straight line stuff, attacking the rim because he's athletic and he's got good speed. Now the next phase for him, let's get better at manipulating the basketball so that I have a counter move against good defense. I can keep my dribble a little bit longer, and that's a good play for us because now I'm able to get off a quality shot even when your initial defense on me was really good. That's the next step for him, and that's all I would be focusing on. And that's going to lead to more mid-range pull-up jumpers he can get off. That's going to lead to more step-back threes he eventually adds to his game. But all of it has to start with controlling and manipulating the basketball with either hand, either direction, where you're comfortable, and put a little more in your bag, as they like to say. He's a very basic guy in that way now. That, to me, is the next step for him.
Where do you have him among these rookies right now? Like, do you see him being first-team all-rookie?
I think he's going to be in the conversation for that. He's going to get votes for that for sure. And I don't think I could have said that at the midway point of the season. This is really going to come down to second half of the year and the eye test now. What's really going to help him is the fact that he's playing in irrelevant and important games. And so more and more people are getting eyeballs on the Chicago Bulls right now because, number one, they're fighting to make the playoffs. A lot of these teams they're going to be playing are. So now on a given night, you see two teams. This is an important game. Chicago's finding themselves in those now. More and more people are paying notice. So like a 15-point game out of a guy like Buzelis in a game that matters, to me, this stage of the year particularly, that means more to me than a 20-point game on a guy that's on a lottery-bound team and a bottom feeder on a team that's tanking. And I think a lot of voters are going to feel the same way.
Tim, I'm going to get you out of here on this one, man. In honor of that crazy finish of the Bulls-Lakers game when Josh Giddey hit that half-court buzzer beater, which was just absolutely insane. Can you tell us a story about you being involved with an absolutely crazy game like that, like a game-winning buzzer beater or something like that happened on the team you were on or maybe the opposing team, or just something insane to finish the game that you were a part of?
Yeah, for me personally, it's a memory I'll have the rest of my life. And it was my senior year in college at LaSalle. We played at Princeton, and it was big for me because Princeton recruited me. I never really seriously considered them, but they were kind of hanging around toward the end. They really were fighting to get me. And I remember I called each coach to tell them I chose LaSalle University. All the other coaches were very gracious. Pete Carrill was not so gracious. Basically told me I made the biggest mistake of my life not choosing Princeton, blah, 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 blah. So that's my senior year of high school. Fast forward 4 years, we're playing Princeton at Princeton. We're down 2 after they make 2 free throws with just a couple of seconds left in the game. We got to go the length of the court. Ball comes into me. I take one hard dribble toward half court, and I let it fly from half court. Buzzer goes off while the ball's in the air. Ball hits the back of the rim, goes straight up in the air, much higher than the top of the backboard, and comes straight back down through the net to give us a win. It kept us undefeated. It was early in the year, kept us undefeated, and it was against Princeton in their building. And as I was getting mobbed by my teammates, I looked over at Princeton's bench, and Pete Carrill was laying on the court in a prone position with his hands above his head on his back. And it was it felt good to me to like be able to do that to Pete Carrill in that moment. So that was one for me. You don't get too many opportunities as a player, period. As Josh Giddey said, that was a first game winner of his life. He said he couldn't remember another. I'm talking about like a real game winner, not like a late game shot, like a game winner. Let's go. Nobody else has an opportunity here. You don't get many chances like that as a player, not even the greatest players. It's rare to get that. So to have that one for me, I'm going to hold on to that memory.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Appreciate that. Y'all see him. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. That is Tim Legler. Follow him on Twitter at LegsESPN. And again, the All City NBA podcast with our guy Adam is definitely where you can check him out.
Shout out to Tim Legler. Shout out to our very own Big Dave.
That was a great interview.
Love that last question.
Appreciate it.
Oh man, the game winners or the buzzer beaters, the ones instead of a swish or like the Hollywood script of like it rolls around the rim and then goes in. The ones that are like I think of like Kawhi Game 7, right on the way to that Raptors title. The ones that are like unpredictable Kareems off of rims and or backboards. Those are the most fun.
I agree. Well, when you're winning, those are the most fun. Those are the ones you like.
Rip your heart out if you have to watch it go in.
As he said, a coach on the floor, right? Looking up like this. Yeah, man. No, I love talking to him. He's always really open with me. And, yeah, I'm just glad we can ask the questions that Bulls Nation wants to hear from a guy like Tim Legler. You know what I mean? And I also said to him on the interview, like, hey, man, if the Bulls are going to be playing and you calling, you got to come in here. You know what I mean? You got to come hang out with us, man. And he said, he didn't commit, which is why he's a professional. Which is why. But he was like, hey, if I'm in town, maybe I'll see, we'll see what happens. And so I'm like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Straddling that fence.
I'll take it.
He's hedging.
I'll take it.
He clearly learned from the best, a.k.a. the Bulls. Shout out to Legs. Hit the like button for that great chat that Big Dave had with Legs. All right, real quick, last thing that we wanted to get to on today's agenda, mostly just because it's fun and silly. Bobby Marks dropped a column on ESPN Plus today. What 28 other NBA teams could have offered in a trade for Luka Doncic? We all know, based on the reporting back when it happened, that it was very behind closed doors. They negotiated with the Lakers and only the Lakers because they wanted to keep it hush-hush. They didn't want the fact that they were trying to trade Luka to get out before the trade actually happened.
So crazy.
So, gentlemen, in case you missed it,
Luka got traded?
Yeah, I know, right? It's all just revisionist history stuff, but it's fun to see what Bobby Marks came up with for the Bulls specifically, which was the Bulls get Luka Doncic, the Mavs get Zach LaVine, because remember, the Luka trade happened like a few days before the LaVine trade happened. Modest, which after listening to Legler just wax poetic about it, you don't love, because we're all big on Modest around here.
You don't love.
The Bulls 28 first-round pick, unprotected. The Bulls 30 first-round pick, unprotected. Before we get to whether or not this could have theoretically beaten out the Lakers offer or some of the other proposed offers that Marks came up with, just as a Bulls fan, would you have done this trade?
This is a GOAT question. This is definitely a GOAT question.
Why trade for Luka when you already have Luka?
That's right. We've already got Luka, GOAT.
I mean,
you're talking about Josh Giddey, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, Luka's a top 5
expert
player.
Josh Giddey.
Luka's a top 3 player in the league.
Luka ain't hit no half-court game.
Yes. But here's the thing, though. Like,
you've seen some of the game winners Luka's hit. Come on.
Yeah. Not half-court.
I do think it's interesting, though, because, like, if you compare this not only to what the trade is, but then to what they got, obviously getting their own pick back. So it is almost like getting a third pick involved in that. But, like, that's what Luka should have gone for. He should have been traded for a star player, a really high-profile up-and-coming rookie or young player with potential, and multiple draft picks. And so, like, does that trade make more sense to me? Absolutely. But the Mavs wanted something very specific. So I don't think it really mattered who they would have talked to. They wanted their guy. Yeah. And, like, they wanted him so bad that they didn't even ask for the extra picks that the Lakers had.
Insanity.
Which is crazy. So, look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to win a championship, you need to have the best player.
What?
You need to have one of the best players.
Okay.
So if you have an opportunity to get that guy,
Says
you do
you.
it, in my opinion.
Also mine.
Does that take away
Also
from
mine.
the play of Josh Giddey and Modest through the second half of the year? Absolutely not. They've been great, both of them. And they're young and exciting. And like, I think it's changed it has to change your outlook on the direction of the team. But yeah, when you have a chance to go get a 25, 26-year-old superstar in his prime, who is one of the few players that can take you from being a good team to an elite team in this league, you got to go for it.
Is there anything you wouldn't give up on this team to get Luka Doncic?
No.
I guess here's the reason why I say that.
He's
because
Luka.
like even in that deal, yes, it hurts to lose Modest and picks, but like now you have a team that's Luka and Coby and Giddey and whatever else they're able to cobble together.
The player that led the NBA in points per game scoring last season and led his team to the finals. Yeah, I'd take that guy.
Yeah.
Name your
I think
price.
that sets you up really well.
No MVP. The man said the slim Luka. Look, I don't get slim, big, medium, short, tall. You take Luka, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what he's doing. You take Luka.
Our guy Fish said, yeah, you make that trade.
Yeah, bro.
I think so too. Because also, I mean, like some of the other ones that Marks has come up with, like what if Philly went after him? You're sending Paul George, their likely rookie of the year had he not gotten hurt, Jared McCain, 3 unprotected firsts and a lightly protected first. 4 first-round picks. Yeah. A lot of these other teams, it's like multiple first-round picks, multiple first-round pick swaps. Zach LaVine, who less than a year ago, was untradeable, seemingly across the NBA. Modest, who we love, who we believe in, it hurts. But those 2 players and 2 firsts to bring in Luka, that I think would have felt like a win.
That's almost not even the question, because I agree with what you're leading into there, which is that if the Mavs wanted to, they could have gotten much better offers than obviously the one that they got. Does Zach and Modest and 2 picks compare to Anthony Davis and a pick and Max Christie? I would say sort of, yeah. But does that compare to what some of the other teams that might have been lining up who have way more in the cupboard in terms? I mean, could the Rockets who have extra? I mean, the Thunder could have given every single draft pick known to man.
What's those?
I mean, they just didn't go. So it's almost like a different question of like, how does this compete with the real offer versus what would have the best offer been?
You're right. But you take Luka.
You take Luka
in the end.
You take Luka.
You take Luka.
Sorry,
trying to say
it was a lot of fun hypotheticals. That is it. We are out of time for today. We will be back tomorrow night for the Bulls front end of that back-to-back. Sitting some guys against the Cavs, who are also sitting Donovan Mitchell. The 4th game before the Bulls regular season comes to a close. In the meantime, you can follow Will the Goat, Will_Gottlieb, read his stuff, allchgo.com, become a CHGO diehard so you can read all of it with the coolest other Bulls fans in the world. Big Dave's at BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Shout out to the one and only hardworking, tireless Katie Duffy, Queen of Controls.
Hit the like button and then go over to the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel and watch their watch along. It's going to start in like 8 minutes. I don't know.
Let's go.
Watch
we got
it.
CHGO Cubs watch along happening.
Yeah.
Subscribe to CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you're also, if you're a Cubs fan, subscribe to that new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel.
Also, I'm in the diehard tonight hanging out with the Bulls fans, so come hang out with me.
The Discord.
Let's have some discussions with the diehards in the Discord.
Shout out to our guy. I saw Scarn through us a super chat earlier. Welcome back stateside, buddy. Glad to see you. Pregame, 5:30 Central, because we got a 6 p.m. tip.
Yeah.
Love it.
The best.
We will see you tomorrow night, Bulls Nation. Love you always. See you, Red. Be good.
Peace.
Bow.
We all silly like the mayor.